And welcome back to Captain's Call. I'm Captain John Bushy.
And I'm Master Chief Michael Wilkins.
And today our guest star, our special guest, is Lieutenant Griff Lotson. He's our security officer. So this is our very first trial of a new format for Captain's Call. We're going to change it up a little bit and try to make it a little bit more interactive and maybe make it so that some topics that are out there might be some things that you would like to hear about. So we decided to start with security. Security's always got a very active role on base. You see security as you come and go. Sometimes you have dealings with them when the cat's stuck up the tree, or if there's a fender bender or something like that around the base. So why don't we kick it off? CMC, do you have a topic you'd like to launch us out of the box?
Yes, I do. I'd like for Secco to talk to us a little bit about our sobriety checks.
Well, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. I'm the security officer, Lieutenant Lotson, and I am your security officer for the base. I'm going to talk a little bit about SOBOs, the dreaded SOBOs, sobriety checkpoints, or what they are known as. Now, the sobriety checkpoint process is a process that's set up by the commanding officer to enforce the drinking and driving policy here in Japan. Everyone is subject to the sobriety checkpoints, entering or exiting the base. The sobriety checkpoints are done by my Master Arms Force. And upon entering or exiting, you're going to see the Master Arms standing there with a little device called an alco sensor. Now, this alco sensor basically detects the presence of alcohol on your breath. As he instructs you, he will instruct you to first surrender your ID card. He will give you a brief on what you're expected to do, and then you will be asked to blow into this alco sensor, where it will or will not detect the presence of alcohol on your breath. Upon that, if you are good to go, he'll give you the okay and let you go on your way. However, if not, he will tell you to pull over, and then a secondary device, which is the SD2, will be administered. At that point, if you blow any type of reading on that SD2 device, he will or will not ask you to please step out of the vehicle and then further apprehend you.
So the SD2 device, that's another alco sensor?
It's actually a device that detects the presence and it gives us a reading, slight reading, a little more accurate than the alco sensors.
Okay. Right. Now you said apprehend. So does that mean I'm going to get a free ride in the back of a squad car with some jewelry on?
Unfortunately, yes, Master Chief. You will be asked to exit the vehicle. They will take your ID card. You will be placed under apprehension, searched, handcuffed, and taken back to the security precinct in the back of the patrol car. Now, this is done only for officer safety. This isn't done to embarrass you or belittle you. This is merely for officer safety. As you know, there are many times that people under the influence do a lot of crazy things that are a little bit out of character. So to prevent the person hurting themselves or the patrolman, we must put everyone in restraints.
Right. Now, if I understand this correctly, and please help me understand, this isn't anything out of the ordinary. This is pretty much standard police procedure, whether it be our military police or your local law enforcement back home.
You are 100% correct, Master Chief. If you are pulled over in the States, the police will probably administer a myriad of tests before they place you under apprehension. A lot of them don't have the alcohol sensors on them, so they do these things called FSTs, or field sobriety tests, where you see in the movies where they're walking the line and saying the alphabet backwards, which I've known people to do, even drunk. But we do the alcohol sensor, and then we have to place you in restraints just as you would at any installation in the States or out in town.
Right, but the bottom line with this is it's not personal. This is strictly business, and it's the rules that we have to comply with.
It is 100%, Master Chief.
Well, just to review those rules, remember Japan is .03.
That's
So
correct.
if you've been to an AOB ICR class lately, I have a demonstration where I've got a standard can of Chew High that's got 4% alcohol in it. Somebody drank that and then 20 minutes later walked over to security and said, "What's my BAC?" And that person, who was a larger person, metabolizing alcohol a little bit faster than what most average people do, blew a
Right.
0.03 right there after that 20-minute wait and the walk over to security. So it doesn't take much to get above a 0.03.
Right.
And so what we encourage everybody at AOB ICR is make sure you've got that plan. Make sure you know what you plan on doing. Use the taxis, use the trains, use alternate means of transportation, but don't get behind the wheel of a car. We have a very aggressive sobriety check system here on the base. On the weekends, I would guarantee that every single time that you're leaving the base, you should be expecting to have an alcohol sobriety check, because we want to keep any infractions on the base rather than letting it go out in town. Because you stand to have an accident out there that's going to cost a heck of a lot more in not only monetary,
Right.
but also career implications if you have some type of an incident out in town. So we'd rather have that happen on the base. But we also do random checks throughout the day, Sunday through Sunday, all across the base. And I sign out a random check that the security officer brings to me once a month. It could be out on King Street. It could be across from the command headquarters. It could be at the front gate. It could be at 8 o'clock in the morning as you're trying to get to work on time. And I don't apologize for doing the sobriety checks, because that's what we have to do to make sure everybody understands how important this is. You know, knock on wood, since I've been here, we've had 3 DUIs on this base. The first DUI was after 1 year of not having a DUI. So I would challenge, excuse me, I would challenge any other base in the States to meet our record, and how important it is that we obey these laws, these regulations, and these rules, because we can all do it. We've proven that we can go over a year without having a DUI. We just need to have everybody committed to it.
That's right.
You know, you have to have that plan. You got to be a good ambassador and go out and enjoy the country, but just do it responsibly. That's all we're asking. And Atsugi has shown in the past it can do it. Every once in a while we have a hiccup where somebody makes a poor decision. Luckily, it's been something we found on base. But I need your help to make sure that all of our dependents, all of our service members, all of our guests understand what the expectations and the policies are here to prevent any of those type of problems from happening.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we had a VRO process here that's kind of important to what we do.
Yeah, it is. The process is very lengthy. The Vehicle Registration Office actually acts as a vehicle/passing ID office, where you come in to register your vehicles. You're going to register your ID card in the DBID system, and also any bicycles that you will purchase on board the installation. The Vehicle Registration Office is manned primarily by Japanese personnel. Now, those personnel are bilingual. However, they follow Japanese customs and courtesies and are a little bit or very professional in what they do. And so when you come in, they're going to be pretty straightforward when it comes to what the process is. They're going to have the checklist that they're going to give you, and the checklist will be verbatim. And a lot of folks, as they come in, they're a little bit taken back by the amount of paperwork that's involved and the amount of back and forth that goes along with registering their vehicle on base. And if you live out in town, you got to go in, you got to get the police parking certificate. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it all must be done by the service member, which is not very convenient for a lot of folks, Master.
Well,
you know,
well, go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, but VRO is in a sense acting as somewhat of a servant for the Japanese government, correct?
Yes.
Remember, you're registering your vehicle in a foreign country. We're registering it in accordance with SOFA. And so there's a lot of requirements that go into that. If you are registering your car in the United States, we take for granted all the things that really do happen behind the scenes. Everything from you purchase that car, and the dealership actually does an awful lot of the work for you. Because we're buying used vehicles here, we have to do a lot of that stuff on our own. And it's only a small amount of it is required by our installation. A lot of it's required by the Japanese prefectural government in order to register the vehicle. So please be patient with the process. It's not our process, but we are trying to complete it so that you don't have to do multiple things when you get out to the land tax office or any place else as you're trying to register the car. We're trying to get you set up for success so that it's less painful when you do go out there and you're having to look at signs in kanji or you're having to speak a foreign language. Instead, hopefully shuffle the papers that we have for you and you get out of there in a painless evolution.
Right, absolutely. And we Americans are accustomed to not necessarily following rules to the letter of the law. And one of the things that you'll find when you first get here and you start registering is if the rule says that's what the Japanese expect to execute is that rule to the letter. And we're not necessarily programmed to do that very well by the way we function in our society.
So talking about DBIDs, who needs to register in DBIDs?
Everyone. They actually give ID cards out to children as young as 10. So everyone that comes on board the installation needs to have their ID card registered in DBIDs if you're attached to NAFA. These are for NAFA stationed or NAFA personnel who live on board and work on board the installation.
Well, that would include our tenant commands as well. We've got 33 tenant commands here. So if you work here, you live here, you need to be registered in DBIDs. My biggest complaint with DBIDs is the first letter in the acronym is defense, yet the systems don't talk to one another. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, we just have to deal with that there. So if you've registered in Yokosuka, then you still have to register here if you transfer from Yokosuka to here because the information just doesn't transfer.
The region is actually trying to work on a unified database so that Yokota, Yokosuka, Zama, Tsugi, Sasebo, everybody can use the same database. But we're just not there right now. Right now they're putting money towards the problem, but I can't guarantee it's going to happen. So you need to register in DBIDs. When you go to register your vehicle, or if you're not registering a vehicle, just make sure you walk down to VRO and register yourself in DBIDs. But if you are registering a vehicle, it's just as easy. Just knock it all out at the same time
yes,
and one-stop shopping.
So what happens if I show up at the gate and I'm not registered in DBIDs?
Well, what's going to happen, unfortunately, is the patrolman will tell you, sir, or Master Chief, you appear to be not registered in the DBID system. So we're going to ask you to pull over, turn around, go to the outside of the gate, walk in through the VRO office, and register your ID card.
So how long does it take to register?
That's a great question, sir. It actually takes less than 5 minutes to do. If you go in and you have all your ID card, they will scan it for you, get your PRD, and you'll be on your way.
So speaking of that, so if you get extended here, you need to go back in and make sure that they've got the right PRD for you. There is a requirement, the onus is upon the individual to make sure that your data is correct. It's the same thing with your car. If you register your car and you have the inspection updated or the insurance updated, the onus is upon the owner to go in and make sure that that's reflected properly in the database. Same thing with your DBIDs. If you've been extended on board or if something has changed with your orders, you need to make sure we understand that because DBIDs is part of our defense system. We know who's on the base and who's not on the base, and it registers that. And there's been people who have gotten a little sideways with, I registered this, how come I'm not in your system? Well, your PRD was last month and you're not supposed to be here anymore. What we need to have then is for you to go back inside, update it, and then you're good to go. But please understand that our folks that are working at the front gate are here for your protection, but they're also here to make sure that we are properly screening people and people are properly vetted to get on the base. Hate to say it, but they're only doing their job, and please make it so that that their job is easy to do. They're already doing a lot of other things that the rest of us don't have to do. They're standing the watch, daylight, sun, when it's hot outside, when it's cold outside, the dead of night, all that stuff. And these folks that you lead over at NSF are the people making sure it's safe on the base. So please help them out with that. They've got a hard job to do.
And speaking of hard jobs, what's the primary job of security, sir? I mean, is it just to harass me as I'm doing 26 and a 25 on the base?
Actually, no, Master Chief. Our primary job is to provide safety and security for everyone on the installation. It is our primary focus is to ensure that everyone on board has a safe environment for their families, for their children, to be able to go out and not have to worry about any type of evildoers or people who want to drive a little bit faster to get to that meeting.
All right.
Well, I think it's, like I said before, I think it's a pretty tough job that we take for granted because somebody else is doing it for us. So I challenge any of you to show up at post turnover and say, I want to be an MA for a day, and they'll put you to work. But we've got folks that are driving around the base. We've got folks that are working with the military working dogs, which I think is one of the coolest jobs out there. And they're doing all this stuff so that our families can be safe on base, and so that we
Right.
can safely do the mission that we have to do of flying airplanes and taking care of the installation, instead of worrying about having to stand the watch tonight because we don't have somebody like the MAs and security that are doing it for us.
Yeah, yes, sir, absolutely. And when we're talking about this being a tough job, and I'd just like to make the pitch right quick for maintaining OPSEC when it comes to our physical security posture, because we are in Japan, and I realize that the threat isn't nearly as significant here in Japan as it is in places like Bahrain. But as I talk about during AOB, no crime does not mean, or low crime does not mean no crime. And, just because there's a low terror threat here doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And when we broadcast our security posture, we're just telling the bad guys when to come and when not to.
Yeah, it's funny because you would think that everybody would keep that, under their under wraps, and that wouldn't get discussed. But a couple months ago, we had a bomb scare, and we changed our security posture at the front gate, and the changes we made were on somebody's Facebook page within 5 minutes.
Right.
And that doesn't help us do our job. It doesn't help security and SECO here be able to provide the level of force protection that we need to. So security is everybody's responsibility. When you come through the front gate, please be professional. Realize that the MA is trying to do his or her job, and they're trying to do it professionally. They're not there to try to pick on you or try to do anything to slow you down in the process of your day. But they are also trying to keep the bad people on the outside and try to keep the good people on the inside.
Right.
Because just because, like CMC says, that we're in a place where there's low crime doesn't mean that there's no crime. And if we prove ourselves to be a weak target or option, people will take advantage of that. And we don't want that. We don't want that to happen to our families or to any of our sailors.
Right.
And that's a great point, sir. A lot of folks here may not remember, but a lot may do remember the sarin gas attacks that happened in 1995. They actually never caught the masterminds behind that. They are wanted on the Japanese system, but they actually never caught them. So those suspects are still at large. So they do have active terror networks here, but they're low key and looking for that soft target. And we are standing the watch to ensure that Atsugi remains a hard target and off the terror list.
Right.
Right, how about if we shift gears a little bit? So, are bicycles vehicles?
Actually, we treat them as vehicles, sir. All bicycles must be registered in the system at the vehicle registration office. And if you're riding a bicycle, you are to obey all traffic laws.
Oh, that doesn't make sense. You mean I've got to stop at a stop sign?
I can't ride my bike across the crosswalk?
No, sir. No,
What?
Master Chief. You must stop at the stop sign. You must debark the bicycle and walk it across the crosswalks. You are not to ride with headphones in, and if you're riding, you must have your helmet on with the chin strap fastened.
At night, do you need anything? You need a light. This uniform is awesome at night. They finally found something that was it was ideally suited for, and that's camouflage at night. I remember a couple weeks ago I almost took out a bike because it was rainy. They had no light on, and they were wearing NWUs, and I could not see them at all until all of a sudden we both yelled at each other through the window as this person was screeching to halt, and I was trying to screech the car to a halt at the same time. So help us help you. Be a defensive driver and make sure you got the right PPE on. So registering your bike, how hard is that? Is that like going to the VRO again?
You do. You go up to the VRO. They're going to grab your information. They're going to look at your bicycle. They're going to get the VIN number, well, not the VIN number, but the serial number off of the bicycle, and they're going to enter you into the system. Now, what this does is it allows us the ability to track the bicycle should it unfortunately become stolen. It'll help us be able to track it down and return it to its rightful owner.
So, speaking of bikes, we have an awful lot of dead bikes and abandoned bikes that are on the base. We are going to have a registration drive here soon to try to get the bikes identified. But if you already know that you want to get rid of your own bike, or you've got some family members who aren't using their bikes, you can call security at any time. They will come and pick up your bike, and we can get rid of it for you. But we do need to get rid of the bikes that are on the base, because the proper ones are in use. The improper ones have just been abandoned here by people who aren't here and probably aren't going to come back and get them. And they're just taking up a bike parking spot that somebody else could use.
Right.
Plus, they're starting to become an eyesore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, I'm checking my hit list here. Here's a question for you: are airsoft weapons allowed on base?
They are not, sir.
So, what's an airsoft weapon? Can you
Well,
describe?
an airsoft weapon, most of you probably know, but you don't know. Anything that shoots a projectile. It could be a toy little gun that shoots like a little BB. We still consider those airsoft weapons, and they are not authorized on board the installation.
Okay.
So my Nerf rocket, is that okay?
Actually, those are good. If you have a little Nerf gun, that's okay. But anything that shoots like the little pellets,
Right.
those
So
are not authorized.
No BB guns. No.
None whatsoever.
So I hear that the Army allows it. Why are we different?
Well, those are different rules because we actually fall under CNIC. And we have a different process for the Navy than the Army does.
Right.
All right. Well, CMC, you got any other questions for security?
No, I don't have any more right now. I'm sure that we'll generate enough interest in this here. We'll get some questions, and we'll be able to bring him back on round 2.
I think he's going to be a frequent flyer here on this program.
I think he has potential.
I think so. Seko, you got anything that we've missed or anything you'd like to throw out there?
Actually, no, sir. I want to close with kind of the ongoing theme here, which is the security guys are out there to do a job and to provide a service for everyone on the base. Our primary focus is professionalism, customer service, and courtesy. And we try to exhume that every day when we're out there on the gates. I've had a number of you come to me and tell me how much they enjoy coming on board the installation, how safe they feel, and how professional the guys have been at the gates. And we really do appreciate your politeness back to the patrolmen as they stand the watch in the rain, the cold, and the sleet. And if you will, feel free to come on up and buy them a coffee. They appreciate that. We appreciate it. But thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for the first half of the program. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's great to be back in Atsugi. I have very fond memories of flying out of here. I really like it for 2 reasons. The first one being operational. This is a terrific place. The air wing is all together. I have terrific memories of many deployments out of here. And then the second reason is because it's a great place to live. It's a very tight-knit family atmosphere. My kids loved it, and so when I come back here, it just brings back a lot of great memories of serving in the best air wing in our Navy.
And welcome back. It's CMC and I. This time just going to go through a few public service announcements followed by some Bravo Zulus. So I'll kick it off. First thing that I have is a pet policy. Just want to make sure everybody understands when and where is appropriate for your pet. Pets are not allowed in businesses, in the NEX, or any place that has food, prepares food, or sells food. The only animals that are excluded from this are any service animals, and they have to be registered service animals. So please make sure you help us out with having your pet at the right place at the right time.
Right. And then another public service announcement is we've had a little bit of wind. We've had some crows make their way around the base, and there's just quite a bit of trash that is just blowing around the base. And this is our community. So if you're walking by and you see some trash, it doesn't take that much just to stop, lean down, pick it up, and then find a trash receptacle to put it in. We actually received a nice comment a couple weeks ago where someone commented that we should have trash picked up around the base. And I'm not funded to pay people to pick up trash, but this is our community. So if we could just get everybody to do their part, we can make our community a better place to live for all of us.
Good point. Good point. And I want to close out with something I think is hopefully not just a victory, but a long-term victory as well. So on 9/11, we were supposed to have a football game here in Atsugi between the high school up at Misawa and Zama American High School. And it was rained out because of all the rain that they were having up north. The team just couldn't make it down here. So we've rescheduled that. It's rescheduled now for the 23rd of October at 1900. And it's going to be right here in NAF Atsugi. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's the only game we're going to have this year at Atsugi. But again, 23 October at 1900.
But that's an awesome opportunity for the Atsugi community to come out and support Zama High School and the football team.
You know, actually, our kids make up 65% of the school. So participation by our families is extremely important, not just by the kids, but by having the families come out and support the student athletes, support the band, the cheerleaders, all that put it on. So you guys have asked for it. We have requested this up through the supervisors at Dodia, and they've come through. They've given us one game this year. I think if we could have a great outpouring, I bet we can work for more games throughout the year. So, and if we do have more games on base this year, we'll make sure that everybody knows about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I go back to my discussion point about the trash. This is our community, and it's an excellent way to support our community.
Yeah, outstanding. I plan on being there myself, so I think it's going to be an awful good time.
Well, all we can do is hope for a Zama victory.
That's right. That's right. Why don't we break into some Bravo Zulus? What do you think?
That sounds like a great idea.
All right. The first one we have, service provider, is the MWR Pet Kennel. I've always had very positive experiences. The staff is wonderful with pets and owners. Their cages are always clean, and the facility itself provides a safe environment for the animals. We are thankful to Kristana Jump, and kudos to the kennel.
Well, that's awesome. You know, this next service provider is the PAO, and of course, they're the ones providing support for this shooting here. Just wanted to say thank you to MC3 Green for his help in organizing and coordinating all the ombudsman photos on such short notice. The PAO team is always quick to answer and help any problem or need we have, and I greatly appreciate it.
They do a good, great
Yeah,
job.
they do. They do. Hey, congratulations there, Mr. Green.
Be nice if he would actually put a hand around the camera, but his professionalism won't let him do that. So, all right, next service provider up is security, and that goes awesome with what we're talking about today.
Yes.
So, Petty Officer Cynthia Colon was very concise, direct, and always professional while assisting me. Thank you very much.
Next service provider is Fleet and Family Service Center. Yuji-san was incredibly helpful with interpreting my bills and other notices that I received while off base. He was patient, diligent, and thorough. I cannot thank him enough.
Okay, service provider is the Atsugi Convention Center, the ACC. I want to personally thank Brett Dunn and his staff for allowing us to use the ACC to hold the first EM Symposium. His willingness to work with myself and the HNRO and make the event spectacular should not go unnoticed. Thank you again very much.
Yeah, that was a great interaction between us and our local community. Service provider, Trilogy. Brett Dunn and his staff provided an excellent event for a going away party. Thank you for the excellent service and food.
All right, service provider is the Golf Course Restaurant. I just want to give a shout out to all my friends, and I love the lunch special this past week. Hope it can become a regular menu item. Who doesn't love a buffalo chicken sandwich? Thanks for the yummy lunch this past week. Went there 3 times, so that's an awesome way to support your MWR right there, is telling us about it and then participating by going to it. So thank you very much for the comments, and thank you for the patronage as well.
Absolutely. It's that patronage that helps support all of our other MWR programs on the base.
Sure is.
Service provider is Halsey Fitness Center. I just wanted to say thanks for putting a roof over the cement pad outside Halsey Gym. I really hope Halsey is not closed in the future. I really like the facilities, and it's nice to have an area to do functional fitness. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Halsey Fitness Center is going to be demolished. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Just like I tell every new group that comes through AOB, as soon as we get the money to tear it down, it's going away because we're only authorized one Class A gym facility on the base.
But that doesn't mean you can't go and utilize it and to make it better. So we're happy to provide the service as long as we have it open. So thanks for the comments and keep on using that. But please sign in, because the more that we can demonstrate that we are utilizing the facilities, the more we can justify going out and getting extra funds to improve the ultimate facilities we end up with.
Right, absolutely.
So speaking of Halsey Fitness Center, that's the next service provider on the BZ list. I appreciate what Kazu, Little Ninjas Classes, teaches. He's an outstanding instructor and by far a good example for our children. 3 exclamation points. So good job to Kazu.
Awesome. Next service provider is the Movie Theater. I'd like to give a huge thank you to Mr. Ron and Mr. Terry for all the help with providing their support and customer service, setting up for the Iwakuni Town Hall briefs on the 7th and 8th of October. They took great care and concern for preparing the best the theater had to offer.
That's awesome. All right, service provider is PSD. Recently I had an issue that I had to come to PSD to get some help. PS2, Glenn, was great. She was very patient while explaining to me how to fix the problem. She is a great addition to the PSD family. Thank you.
Next provider is Child Development Center. Child Development Center has a big responsibility, and I noticed that many employees are very talented working with the kids. Miss Nauko has a great customer skills as well as a talent for working with the children. She's a great leader, and she should look into management with the center.
All right, service provider. I'm surprised you didn't take this one because it's the Autoport.
That is my favorite place.
I would like to give a great big thank you to Nogi, Katrina, and Maya for their positive and quick action in assisting me with my flat tire. Thank you very much. All right, I think that's all we have for the BZ. Do you have anything else you'd like to wrap it up with this week?
Well, I'd just like to take this opportunity to say that we have an awesome responsibility and awesome opportunity living overseas and representing our family, our country, and our service here. And I look forward to the holidays coming up and being able to represent our culture through the holiday season.
Well, I'd like to extend a thank you and a welcome to USS Ronald Reagan and all the members of the crew for welcome aboard, welcome to Atsugi, welcome to Japan. I hope that you enjoy your time here. It was also great to have CBW5 back for a couple days. I know it was very short. I know the families really enjoyed the time for the reunion and the opportunity to get together with loved ones. So be safe out there as you're doing the next short underway. It is shorter than the last one, and we look forward to you guys coming back here very shortly. And then into those holidays like CMC was talking about. But welcome to everybody from Reagan, and everybody be safe while you're underway this next time. And I think that's all I've got.
All right.
All right, until next time, thanks for tuning in, and adios.